We dance step and circling, arms open out into the green jungle, billing, ripples, bubbles floating, pure dance. We dance to the tune of the clock, working, stepping to the music of the machine. The electricity of remarks and reins, we step and dance in this muscle package, the spirit. Zap. Zap on past the ice cream parlors, children flying airplanes into swoops of air, stoops of stair sewer grates. We dance past the sudden faces, time consumed looking through the web. We dance through the stairs of steel, blue eyes, budding nipples, red meat, green bean. We swirl over the dry desert in the midst of potsherds, brown and red, fire marks on the inside of our craniums.
We dance in the night, in the shivering flames in the caves. We dance over the four-legged coupling, moaning sways of lovers. We dance past the shot semen of hot days and moist rooms, gigantic bubbles rolling in the ocean, the sand, snow fences, tire marks. We dance off into oblivion, waving our arms, our scarves of velvet red, never bowing lower than the trees. We dance, never forgetting the bombs, the goddamn bombs, never forgetting our tails, our earth, our assholes, our grunts, our clawing attempts at freedom, never forgetting the blood of our brothers, our sisters. We dance, fair creatures, out into the absurd joy of each other, kissing, embracing groups of wild animals, gently breathing the misty morning, simply staring at great God's sun.
In quiet lands, in fire shadows, dwell dying men, eager for molecules to kiss, yelling in the night, rustling the swallows and the bats.
The stone sat on a stone wall, sat on the earth. The eye sat on the stone. The soul, the flesh, the slow inhaling, the slow exhaling, the constant respiration, the constant heartbeat. The tree sits in the soil. The brain nestles in the skull. The bones rattle in the bag. The light flickers on the cave wall. The graffiti are constant. The scribbling, the climb upward, some endless tag game. Beyond it all, the monkey, the gorilla, the fish, these smiling ancestors, too busy fucking and eating to look up. Here, in the bone spirit, flesh dwelling, the stacked colony of concepts, muscles, tear glands, involuntary muscles, this syndrome of electrical nerve. The bone sits on the feet, sits on the earth, the spirit floats out. The monkey reaches for the stars and smiles at his hairy hand.
Yeah, man.
In the quiet lands, in fire shadows, dwell dying men, eager for molecules to kiss, yelling in the night, rustling the shadows and the bats.
Shaggy, they sit on the cliffs, deep in the caverns and the open mouths of rocks, remembering molecule by molecule. First was the sun, slow globe rising there so goddamn out of the east and rolling up slow and precisely at half hangs there steady hot. In a masterful moment of decision, then down rolls in twilight. The first lights in the sky, then the moon, and the morning, slowly captured in every moment. Here we, shy animals, bear to talk to each other, suck on each other's lips enough to bear fruit. Then, going our way, we shy animals need more of each other here, in the midst of our maddest hour.
We shy animals have forgotten our tales, those moments we sprung from the trees, those underwater moments, in the rain, and to kiss the earth and feel her throb. Great belly full, great luscious lady. We shy animals wander lost, gazing at our own memories, envious of our own freedom. And in the deep evening, the frog song interjects. Come on, fair ones, you of the two legs, you of the running beasts, come into communion with us.
Song of the universe. I have stopped to love you and speak of birth, for the sun rises and slides aside. The night I have stopped to love you. I have stopped from the roads, the wandering, the childhood of myself, to chip, to send flying a spark, to urge a day, a beginning from these bones. I have stopped to love you, to kiss your face, to rest, easy on your shoulder. I invite you into the elements of fecundity, where our juices shall mingle. As our flesh presses the making of the wine, I have stopped to love you and cause a day, and the moon and the stars, for the night, and to press the blood of ourselves to my lips and stare into your eyes at the ritual of our days. So that was the last page. That was Saul's poem. I guess that was his opus. That was his philosophy of life. If you got a drink, we can do a toast now to Saul. I'm going to cry now because this man was my dear friend. I met him when I was 17 in the Medicahants. I was 17 years old and I had a stringer full of trout. And I came across this man at the falls in Sampsonville, and he was smoking a joint, and he was reeling in his line, and he looked down at my fish and he said, you got to show me how to catch them sometime. And I looked at his line as he cast it back out, and there was no bait on the hook. Didn't want to hurt his feelings, didn't say anything, but as I got to know the man, I come to realize the zen of fishing was not about catching the fish. It was about sitting there and just being part of the stream bank and being part of the rocks and the water. When he fished, he never saw anything beyond that. And I'll tell you another funny story. On my road on DeWitt Road, there's a bridge and there's a waterfall and there's an old farmhouse. And they rented it out to some photographers from New York City who brought up these models that modeled topless. They brought up a bunch of photographers and they were shooting pictures all around. And I was going down the road and I looked down off the bridge and I saw Saul sitting on the side of the stream fishing. And across the stream on the opposite bank, up on a cliff, was these guys with like these, Tommy, the light, grabbing the light. They had these big umbrellas and they had 6 or 7 photographers, and there's these beautiful topless women. I go home, I come back down, Saul's coming up out of the stream, and I said, Saul, how'd you do? And he goes, I didn't get anything. I said, did you see anything? No, what are you talking about? I said, Saul, turn around. So from the road, he turns around and he sees all these beautiful women, and he goes, how long were they there? I said, they've been here all day. I said, I went over the bridge and you were sitting down there staring into the water and you didn't see them? And he goes, no. He goes, but do you mind if you think they'd mind if I hung out for a while? I said, I don't think when they go to get their pictures developed, they got this little gnome fishing on the side of the stream. Anyway, he was the pastor to all these people. He was the pastor in this town to the people that didn't have a religion, didn't have a church. He showed the people that the church was inside the hawk, and that the church was inside the willow tree, and in the trout, and in the water itself. he taught me a lot, and I am the man I am now because of my father and him and guys like Bud Eckert. But Saul, the spiritual, I mean, I'm no longer a seeker because of that man. I mean, some of us seek our whole life, and if you could have an hour to sit with such an amazing human being, I mean, you were honored. And all the people that passed through the dump, and you met him, and he could look at you, and he knew when you had a problem, and he would guide you through it, and he would show you that the world is just not really real, and the world that Saul saw was the real world. It was. He just had an amazing way of talking. I mean, I'm not him, so I can't do that, but we are going to miss this great human being. He was our pastor, like I said, and he was our Dumbledore. He was our Gandalf. He was Jiminy Cricket. He was the Jiminy Cricket of consciousness up on the side of Mombacus. And everybody that went up there, you left with something. I can't say what it was. I mean, Joel, is Joel still here? Joel sat with him a couple days before he passed, and he said, I had this mind-blowing conversation with Saul, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way Saul was. He awakened whatever was inside. He awakened, and he taught me that God is inside me, and that if I could open my eyes and see through the eyes of God, that I would understand compassion, and I would understand understanding and just peace and all these things. And he took God and he made him ordinary to the point where we could all be God. Instead of putting God on a pedestal that we all are we know we can never aspire to be. Saul made God something that we could all be. And nature, he told me, nature is around us all the time. It has not given up on us. And I kind of, if you were to say what Saul was, he was an ambassador between nature and the human being, trying to get us to understand that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Get us out of our head, get us into our heart, accept the wilderness into the center of your being. And that's what Saul's message was his whole life. He was forever the monk, even though he partied and he did whatever he was going to do. He was always the monk. I'm going to say right now, if you got a drink, hold it up. Saul, it was a life well lived, a beautiful life well lived. And everybody here, I just know that everybody here loved him, and that everybody here will miss him. And I also want to, because if Saul was standing here right now, because this is the thing, we're all standing here on microphone. This is not our thing to stand up here and talk to people. This was Saul's thing. If we were all standing right now, all right, let Saul go talk to everybody, because we don't have to do that. And so he is in here, he's here in spirit. And I forgot where I was just going to go with that, which is a typical thing of me. Yeah, I forgot to check my fly too. That was a big scare I had, as my fly is down. So Denise said, just pull it down before you go up, and then you don't have to worry about it. And that's from the Mother Superior herself. So thank you, Saul, for everything. And I speak on behalf of this community, the Catskills. This is what I was going before. We lost a lot of people this winter, and Saul would be upset if I, at his memorial, didn't recognize, because he was the man of the people. He was our spiritual advisor. He was our guide. So, we lost so many people this winter. It was a hard winter. Some good people left, and if Bud Eckert was the mountains themselves and everything, Saul was the spirit behind those mountains. And so don't lose that. Whatever Saul has given you in your life, even if it was like a 15-minute talk while he's punching your ticket at the dump, take whatever he gave you and remember it, because his whole life was about just reminding us not to get too serious, to remember that you're part of something bigger yourself. So be humble. Don't be egotistical, thinking that because you're a human being and you can think that you know whatever the earth needs. You don't know. But if you open up here, you'll feel what the earth needs, and you'll just do the right thing. no matter what you do. So I'm going to shut up now because I was nervous, but I seem to rattle on here a little bit. Anybody else wants to get up and... oh, my toes. Rave on.